following God and following the Father wherever he was told to go. In fact, even praying at times in the garden, God, if you may, let this cup pass from me, but not my will, but yours be done. And so we model that same response of obedience. God, this is what I would like, but ultimately your will is in this. It's a place of honoring God as he leads us into the future that he has for us. No matter what troubles or obstacles may come, simply saying, God, I'll obey, no matter what it looks like the outcome will be from my perspective. I trust that from your perspective, it will all come together. And so with that, they joined together and waited in Jerusalem. Acts 1:14 says they joined together constantly in prayer, along with all the women and Mary, the mother of Jesus, and his brothers. Word Biblical Commentary notes that this verse in verse 14 is one of a handful of summaries in the first really 5 or 6 chapters of the book of Acts that summarize what the normal activity of the early church was. This is what it was to be in Christian community, to gather in prayer. We're told that they gather constantly, continuously, praying. And imagine what they had gone through. Now, yes, they had seen the resurrection, but they had gone through an incredible amount of betrayal. They had gone through seeing Jesus crucified. They'd gone through incredible trauma. And so they gathered to pray, to encourage each other, and to wait in obedience to what God had for the future. And it was in simple obedience together that there was the promise of God's presence, his power, his provision for the future. And this is really the scene, this is the setting in which the book of Acts launches, in which the rest of the story will unfold, a worshiping, praying community. The promises in Scripture are not so much just to us as singular, isolated, detached individuals, though I do believe there are some individual promises, but generally they are rooted in the community as a whole, a prayerful community. And later, even when we do get to the exciting, powerful Pentecost stuff, this is where we find them together in one accord, in one place, unified in prayer. But let's not rush ahead to when the power comes before remembering this place of prayer. This was their place of gathering together. And they prayed the Psalms. We know this really because from what Peter says later, I'll talk about that in just a minute, but they went to the Psalms for support, for encouragement. And this was really the prayer book of ancient Israel. And in this prayer book, they found the encouragement to endure these difficult times. Now, we don't know exactly what Psalms they pray, though we know Peter quotes 2 in just a moment. But I imagine there's many Psalms that talk to us about this theme of waiting and praying. Psalm 25 says, "To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. O my God, in you I trust. Let me not be put to shame. Let not my enemies exalt over me. Indeed, no one who waits for you shall be put to shame. They shall be ashamed who are wantonly treacherous. But make me know your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. For you I will wait all day long." As they waited in prayer, they knew this is the place where God would provide instructions for the future. Psalm 27, verses 13 and 14 says, "I remain confident in this. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord. Be strong. Take heart and wait for the Lord." It's waiting in prayer where we gain courage and confidence that will be necessary to do what God calls us to do. Psalm 33, 20 through 22, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, the people he chose for his inheritance. From heaven the Lord looks down and sees all of mankind. From his dwelling place he watches all who live on the earth. He forms the hearts of all, who considers everything they do. No king is saved by the size of his army. No warrior escapes by his great strength. A horse is a vain hope for deliverance, despite all its great strength it can't save. But the eyes of the Lord are on those who fear him, whose hope is in his unfailing love, to deliver them from death and keep them alive in famine. We